Hi, this is Pillow Talk, and I'm sorry I didn't iron my PJs. They're a little wrinkly. I'm turning 25 next month, which feels like a milestone of an age. It's a quarter of a century, it's my mid 20s. It means I'm no longer a kid, even though I clearly feel like one, like 90% of the time. So I have obviously been reflecting quite a bit on my past recently. I feel like I have made peace with who I was in my childhood up until I was like 19, maybe. I think I made peace with her a long time ago. Like, yeah, she was annoying and cringy and embarrassing, like a lot of the time, but I feel like my past self from those ages was a baby discovering the world and new ideas, and just a girl that wanted love and care and attention. I look back at her with a heart full of love, with embarrassment sprinkled in there quite often, but mostly a heart full of love. But I don't think I can say the same for myself in my early 20s. I struggle very much looking back at myself in my early 20s because I hate that version of myself. And I don't really want to hate that version of myself, but I also know that there's so much of me that wishes she didn't exist. And I just feel haunted by her. During my early 20s, I was, well, a lot. And in my defense, it was a post-COVID world. It was very woke. I was very submerged in the internet, and I was in and fresh out of art school in Italy. Like, I understand why I acted the way I acted, why I thought the way I thought. I just wish I had been a little bit different. I wish I had been quieter. I wish I had been a lot more calm about everything, pretty much. There was this trend going around a couple months ago where girls were saying that as teenagers they would terrorize their families, and one day they just woke up and were normal all of a sudden. And I feel like I also did that, but I fear it did extend a little bit too long into my adulthood. And I think this comes from the fact that I used to be very stubborn. And don't get me wrong, I am still a very stubborn person, but not as much. I try to be less stubborn. If I had my mind set on something, nobody could ever change the way I felt, the way I thought. And I guess it got to a point where people just didn't want to fight me anymore because they knew that I simply just wanted to stay stuck in my isolated little bubble where I thought what I wanted to think. And sadly, this did lead me to have some very lonely periods of time during my early 20s. I remember being 22 and talking to one of my sister's high school friends, and I made a comment about how I had already made my mind up on every single thing I believed. Like nothing would ever change my mind. He, being 10 years older than me, told me I was wrong. Naturally, being the person that I was, thought he was being dumb. And although, like, my beliefs or like the things that matter haven't really changed, I can accept the fact that he was right and I was wrong and I have changed. And that is only in the last 3 years. I think something that has always been important to me is for my beliefs to be rooted in love. And that's what I thought I was doing back in the day. But looking back, I just feel like I was very angry. I feel like I was fighting a lot. And I don't think that came from love anymore. I think that came from fear. And I don't think I'm much of a fighter anymore. Or at least not in that way. I don't think everything about my early 20s was bad. Like I said, I just wish I hadn't been so loud. I wish I hadn't been so aggressive about everything. I wish I hadn't been so stubborn. I wish I had stayed quiet more often. And there's obviously nothing wrong with changing your mind or changing yourself. That's just part of growing. That's what should happen, as you grow up. But I just feel embarrassed about it when I look back at myself at 20, shouting nonsense into the void. I don't really feel like the same person that I was then. I somehow feel closer to who I was as a child. I feel calmer and softer. I feel so much closer to her than the person I used to be 3 years ago. And don't get me wrong, like, I still carry her with me. I don't think I'm a completely different person, right? But, like, I am still angry. I am still reactive. I am still mean sometimes. I still fight sometimes. But I do feel like have settled I feel like I have settled my anger a bit, my frustration with the world, and I feel like I more actively try to not let the anger get to me. And I'm sure in, say, 5, 10 years, I will look back at this era with a more forgiving, with a softer gaze. But it just feels so hard to do so right now when it feels so close to me. And I want it to be so far away from me. I feel so anxious to get rid of her, to get rid of this version of me. I cringe every single time someone brings up a story of me in those couple of years. I am trying to do so much to rid myself of anything linking me back to her, no matter what it costs me. And I do feel that's something I'm learning as I grow. You genuinely can do anything. Genuinely. Anything you want to do, any mistake you want to make, you can do it. It's fine. But you have to know it will cost you. Every single thing you do cost you. And I wish I would have thought a little bit more about the consequences of my actions back in the day, but I didn't, and it is costing me. But I also obviously think that's a natural part of growing up, and that's okay. I'm learning. I can be frustrated with myself. I do have to say, I feel a little sad for her. Like, I know I'm piling on this version of myself, and I feel like I am separating myself and my past self a lot because I, again, am trying to disconnect myself from this version of myself who thought she knew everything not only about herself but also the world. And I'm growing up now and I'm like, you were wrong about so many things. So I feel like it's hard for my brain to connect them. But I do have to say, again, I feel a little bit sad for her because this is the version of myself that painted the series My Year of Rejection. I just feel like I'm adding on to all of that rejection. And as much as I try to separate myself from her, she is still me. She still exists. She's still inside of me. I know I shouldn't be so harsh to her, but it's really hard. A couple days ago, I was going through my archived Instagram post, and I was slightly shocked to see most of my posts from this time period were archived. Like, I did not remember doing that. I did not remember archiving so much. And it broke my heart a bit because I know she wasn't all that bad. Because even if I'm only remembering the negative parts, she's still me. And I'm not all that bad. And I wasn't all that bad as a kid. So, there's no way that there's just this time period in which I was just a dark cloud of terribleness. I know for a fact that my heart will continue to soften up to this version of myself that I was. But for now, hating her has somehow given me a little bit of hope in a weird way. I feel like growing up, I always thought I would feel weird and out of place. I never thought I would fit in. And as I'm leaving these versions of myself behind, I do feel more normal. I do feel like I'm adjusting to being myself a lot more. And this excites me quite a bit. It excites me to see myself growing and changing, even if it's slow, even if I continue to make a million mistakes. Hating my early 20s is kind of my hope core. It makes me believe that life will just continue to get better. And so will I. So will I. And that's really exciting. I know I dunked a lot on my past self right now. I know it was a little mean to myself, but it was just something I was feeling very strongly when I wrote this, right? And like I'm feeling a lot as I am like reciting it right now. But I feel like it's important as well to me as a person. I hope you guys enjoyed this new episode of Pillow Talk. And yeah, Miley and I say goodbye. And we love you. Bye. See you next week.